Okay, you should be live, Commissioner.
Well, welcome back. And I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
I'll
Second,
second it.
Roll call, Jim?
Tonis,
Yes.
Cloutier,
Yes.
Howard,
yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Show the vote 5-0.
So we're out. The next item is approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
So
Some-
moved.
We have a motion and who's the second?
Tom.
Tom? All right. Do we need a roll call on this or can we just raise our, okay. You're gonna really hold me to that, aren't you, Jim? All right, let's have a roll call on this, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Cloutier,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Tonis,
Yes.
and Gordon.
Yes. Okay, next is informational reports or presentation. I don't see any.
No,
There are none.
none.
Travis, at this time, do we have any comments from the public?
We do not.
Thank you. Consent agenda. My understanding is we're going to move item 21012 to new business, and that's the appointment of the Board of Trustees. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Those in favor? Jim? Excuse me.
Cloutier,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Tonis,
Yes.
and Gordon.
Yes.
5-0.
So now we're on new business.
No, don't we have to vote on the consent agenda now?
We
Yeah.
just did.
That's what we just did.
No,
That
that
was-
was the amendment, wasn't it?
No, it was as amended.
Oh, that's okay, gotcha. Okey dokey.
All right. So new business. Item 21015, amend agreement for alternate care site with Maine Health, doing business as Maine Medical Center. Can I have a motion?
I'll move passage.
Second? Jim? You want to explain this?
This item is an amendment to an agreement that the commissioners voted on back in probably July at this point, June, July of 2020. That's between Maine Health and the county for the use of the Cross Insurance Arena as an alternative care site. As you can imagine, from June, July of 2020 to January of 2021, there has been a significant amount of change in the world of what we know and how we're addressing COVID. This agreement or this amendment agreement really captures kind of an up-to-date
I stole your last cookie.
to really dictate how we move forward if an alternative care site needs to be enacted. It's showing that hospitalization is going down. However, it doesn't mean that we're out of the woods just yet. And it is prudent for us to continue to move forward and prepare ourselves and have the proper paperwork in place so that if an alternative care site needs to be up and running at the Cross Insurance Arena, we have what's needed in order to qualify for federal funding reimbursement. And this is one of those items. So I'll answer any questions the commissioners may have. Thank you.
Questions? Tom?
Yeah.
Tom.
All the issues that we discussed before, have these been resolved to your satisfaction about who does what and what the cost is and so forth?
Absolutely. We've been in dialogue over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've firmed up the game plan, the roles of Maine Health and the roles of the county. And that has really defined up a better game plan. And I think I can share that the costs associated with our discussion last time have been cut in half as Maine Health is taking over some of those costs. So everything looks good at this point.
Okay, good. No, thank you.
Commissioner Cludier.
Yeah, I just want to maybe mention for anyone from the public that's watching, people may remember that this was a little bit controversial a number of weeks ago as a possibility for a homeless shelter, which the commissioners did not support. One of the reasons it was not supported was because we had already indicated that we were going to stand ready under this agreement as it previously existed for as basically a backup care facility. And the most recent changes really arose as a result, coterminous with a rather alarming spike that occurred towards the end of last year and into January. We were in the worst situation, if you look at the numbers, that we'd been in ever. And it did look like we needed to kind of go to a higher state of alert on the possibility that we would need to do something directly. So that's where this agreement comes from, and this solidifies the opportunity. And I think we're all happy to say that in the last 4 or 5 days, the big spike has started to recede a little bit. In terms of new cases, the hospitalization situation is still pretty tough, but it's likely to improve. So if we get real lucky, we won't need to do any of this, but we remain prepared and committed to doing it if we need to.
Thank you for the explanation, Commissioner. Commissioner Jameson.
Just a quick question, and it's a follow-up from our discussion last month. Jim, what's your best estimate if we get the notice from Maine Health about the transition time that we will have to where we have to have the facility online?
Well, Maine Health has put in that contract that it's a turnover of 7 days. However, that 7 days, it's not for all 70 beds. The infrastructure put towards beds has been more of a phased approach. So it's I think it's, if I'm remembering right, it's 50 beds at the end of the 7th day, and then the rest of the beds 14 to 21 days, somewhere in that area. So there's going to be a lot of work quick. However, it's not the entire build out of the site. They have a select number of beds that they want up and running after 7 days, which is totally doable. And now that we're only really responsible for the electricity and category 6 internet lines to each of the rooms, it makes our scope of services much more succinct and achievable.
Very good. I think it's important for the public that's watching to understand that. Appreciate it, Jim.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Any other questions? Hearing none. Jim, would you read the vote, please? Take a vote.
Coward,
Yes.
Cludier,
Yes,
Jameson,
Yes,
Matonis,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
show the vote 5-0.
Next item is 21-016, an amendment agreement for alternate care site with Spectra Management. I suspect this goes right along with the previous issue. Can I have a motion, please?
move passage.
Second,
I'll second it.
Neil? Discussion, James? Jim? Gailey?
Which, oh, okay. I wasn't sure which Jim.
I'm gonna go 1 or 2 here.
This item is being brought forth, as the commissioners may remember, back on the November agenda, you had this contract or this agreement between Spectra and the county on for amendment, and that was because in this particular agreement, it was expiring December 31st of 2020. And the amendment was just to extend out the contract to June 30th, 2021. Well, we shipped it off to Maine Emergency Management, who in turn shared it with FEMA. And FEMA had some questions around what was in the agreement. And so they passed on those comments to us, and we adjusted the agreement to reflect their requests. So this agreement really is a modification in hopes of meeting FEMA's approval this time around. FEMA did approve it back in the summer, but I guess maybe a new set of eyes took a look at it and had some questions and requests. So this contract is just to address FEMA's concerns that they passed on to us back the 1st of December after receiving the amended contract. So I would ask that you support this request also.
Discussion. A question I have, Jim, is does this put us in an easier corridor to get funding from FEMA?
I wouldn't say it puts us into an easy corridor. It sets us up that we can show that we have a contractual agreement with Spectra, and any incurred costs that Spectra has within the facility, i.e. staff time, electrical, supplies, those are all qualifying expenses under FEMA's public assistance program. And they are only qualifiable expenses because we have an agreement between the two entities. And that's really the crux of the whole item.
Commissioner Cludier, you had
I was going to move passage of this item.
well, okay. We have a motion asked to move passage. Jim, can you take the roll?
Tom Coward,
Yes.
Cloutier,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Watonis,
Yes.
and Gordon.
Yes.
Show the vote. 5.
Is there any more new business?
The item that you took off the consent calendar.
Oh, yes. I need a motion to appoint a Cross Insurance Arena member of the trustees to the
I would-
board.
I would move that we select Lori Norman as the trust to fill the vacant trustee seat.
I'll
Can I
second
have a
it.
second? Susan? Jim, you want to read the roll?
Coward,
Yes.
Cloutier,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Watonis,
Yes.
and Gordon.
Yes.
Show the vote 5-0.
Is there any other new business?
And I'm sure you'll reach out. I'm sure you'll reach out to Lori and let her know. We kind of promised her that. I also invited her to watch this, watch the live stream. So I don't know whether she's already heard about it or not, but there you go.
And
I
Jim,
will.
you're going to notify the other candidates, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Comments from the county manager?
Really nothing this evening. A lot of work around those 2 contracts that were on the agenda this evening, as well as preparing us with wraparound services for the alternative care site, just on the off chance that we do have some activity in the building. There were a number of RFPs that I've been working on over the last 2.5 weeks that we needed to send out and get responses back in order to meet FEMA's requirements. So a lot of work around the alternative care site. The only other item I'll share is that the commissioners are aware that we are kind of dipping our toe into the GIS services for municipalities, in particular those municipalities that under our assessment program. We have Baldwin and North Yarmouth were the first two that joined our GIS side. And we're working with Casco now to give them a price for them to join the GIS. So just wanted to share that's a work in progress. Other than that, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
How is that information gotten or presented to the other communities? Is it just by word of mouth, or are we actually making a proposition to them?
Well, I think at this point, we have started off slow. As you can tell, our first client per se, or first municipality was Baldwin. Baldwin was a good community to bring on. And the individual who is doing our GIS work was able to, in a sense, cut their teeth on Baldwin and learn the ropes and the requirements that the assessing department would have. And then we went to kind of a little bit bigger town, a little bit more parcels, complexity in North Yarmouth. And the IT individual has done a terrific job on getting Yarmouth where they needed to be. So now we feel as though, it's just baby steps in size. So as much as all the towns within our assessing program know that we're in this area, we're really not doing a hard sell and trying to get them to all come just yet, as we're trying to ramp up and get as strong as possible in the GIS world and become efficient as possible too.
Any other questions of Jim? Comments from the staff, Alex?
A couple of things, sort of similar boat here for finance. We've been feverishly working on some changes to the payroll system, which will go out this week. And those changes were necessitated by the new NCEU contract, which really very different from a lot of the measures in the past. So we're finally able to get our accounting software up to that. We're prepping for the audit, which will start next week. Once that's done, I'll be able to give you, Jim, and Jim to you, some better numbers on where we landed for 2020. And I think the big thing to share was the tax anticipation note, which occurred a few weeks ago. And I'm going to try to find what it came in at. Morgan Stanley and Company won the bid at a rate for the tax anticipation note of 0.14%, not 1.4, 0.14. So Dick Granigan. Don't know how else to, to toot his horn than that.
I think I've got the interest payment in my pocket. If you want me, I'll volunteer to toss that in this year. So
Yeah.
that's my coffee money for the rest of the week.
Yeah. So that happened. And that's what we've got to report.
Wow. Well, good job. I mean, that was very, very fortunate. The citizens don't know how lucky we are. Travis, do you have anything you wish to add?
The one thing that I'll mention, I had reported last month that we were looking to find a contractor to enter into a net energy solar billing agreement. We released the RFP last week and we've already had significant interest. So I think by our next meeting, we ought to be able to report some regular annual cost savings in our energy and also a commitment to contribute to a lot of renewable solar power through a partner sometime within the next year.
Travis, I read in the paper today that apparently CMP is having problems with solar suppliers. This does not impact us because this is not local solar, right? This is
it
or
does.
is it?
I mean,
Or
it's
is it?
the
Or
same
is
kind of
that out there?
plan. It is the same kind of plan. I mean, as it stands, Central Maine Power has a responsibility with the contracts that they've made with a lot of these developers, where they agree in advance of the project what the costs are to connect. And now they're going back after the fact, after some of those investments have been made, and saying now it costs more. So the governor, I believe, has stepped in to investigate. It's likely that whatever firm we enter an agreement with, will already be down the road in developing their plan and signing up additional ratepayers. It's unlikely it will be with somebody who doesn't exist already. So I think that it shouldn't really affect the county's future deal, but it does sound like there's some working out that needs to be
Yeah.
done between the state and CMP. Yeah.
CMP is, we had a kind of an unexplained power outage in South Portland a week or two ago. That was apparently a substation. All they said was a
Squirrel.
substation was not
It's a
working.
squirrel.
I wondered whether I had visions of that being the solar farm down on the South Portland transfer station, the old capped.
In that case, it was a squirrel. A squirrel had
Oh,
made it
was
into a
was that
place
what
it
it
didn't
was?
belong.
The squirrel decided to end it all by electrocution or something.
I was in a drive-through at a pharmacy and I sat there for more than an hour because they couldn't take care of anybody and no one could get in or out, and it was a squirrel. But I think that CMP's concern is understandable. They're letting a lot of large projects on at once, and their grid sounds like it's not prepared for it. So it shouldn't affect contracts they have in place
Okay.
already, though.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the report.
I put solar in my house, and my bill was somewhere between $100 to $16 a month.
Yeah, I pay no electricity for half the year. I have it on my house too.
Do we have, Lauren, do you have anything you want to comment on?
Hello. Nothing tonight. Thank you for asking.
All right. Comments from the county commissioner. Take your choice. Susan.
I have a couple of things. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you to Jim and his staff for all the hard work that they've had to do with this alternative site. I know it hasn't been an easy thing, and it's a lot of ups and downs. The second thing is being on the COG executive committee, that I was asked if the commissioners would like to have a dialogue with COG regarding the homeless center. Regarding our homeless. So they would like to have a dialogue with us where they'd like to come and do a presentation. So I told them, whether I would ask or to see where you stood on this. So.
Yeah.
Comments?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
We need to deal with the issue, and we can't use the civic center because it might be a hospital, and we've already had some discussions in this forum about can't use the community correction center. But I'd love to hear somebody's idea. So this is a problem. This is a problem that just won't go away up here. And I think we need to, if we can contribute to it, and if they've got information or they want to exchange ideas, I'm more than happy to have them in.
Jim?
Yeah, I'd kind of second that. I really think anytime there's a discussion of the homeless problem in southern Maine, probably ought to have somebody from the city of Portland with us too. That's, I don't have any problem with COG being involved, but they really don't have operational capacity or authority in this stuff, and so it's, it seems like that would be fine to hear from them, but it would also be important, I think, to have maybe have somebody from the Portland Housing Office at the same time. Just an idea.
So I will.
Neil, did you have something?
No, I was just going to add that we should, I think dialogue on this issue is always good. So if the opportunity presents itself, we should meet with COG and other players on this issue.
Do we have any idea, Sue, where they're coming from, what they're looking for? Because I just don't see my opinion is I just don't see the county being responsible for it, other than maybe helping coordinate something. Because otherwise, we may be putting costs to, if we come involved the other way, we would be putting costs to communities without their citizens' vote. I'm just scratching my head here as what road we're wandering down. I don't mind hearing what the thought is, but I would be concerned that if they're trying to get the resources of the county to provide the answer to the issue.
Well, this was the email that she sent to me is I'm hoping that the timing is right to have a conversation with the county commissioners about how municipalities and the county can work together to help share the burden of homelessness across the region.
I mean, that sounds like a conversation to have. I'm just
Yeah,
not sure.
I have
I
no
wouldn't-
objection to the conversation.
Right.
I guess I just say to the rest of the commissioners, you know, it is a great concern of mine, but the way this state is set up, my understanding is that responsibility is in the municipalities and the state, and the counties have been kept out of it.
Jim,
I
I
only
mean,
put that
Steve,
Yeah, go ahead.
Jim Gailey knows as much as almost anybody about how the resources are gathered to operate a homeless program, and you know, your concern is on point here, because the basic funding for homeless shelters, aside from some funding that we get, you know, we get CDBG funding, so does the city of Portland, so do others. But it's basically general assistance, which is a state and municipal program. It's probably not particularly, it's not a great idea that that's the way it is, but that is the way it is. And, you know, so our resource opportunities on an operational basis are not particularly well funded at this point. And there's no real financial support that I know of for regional government. It used to be that to help the communities that were doing the most, there was a state program that augmented the general assistance that was available once a municipality spent a certain percentage of their tax base on general assistance, and then it kicked up to a much higher reimbursement rate from the state, and that kind of took the bite out of the the often heard complaint that the suburbs and the exurbs only share in the homeless process by sending their homeless to the cities. But the bottom line is that during the LePage administration, that whole setup was destroyed pretty much, and I don't think it's been restored very well at this point. Maybe Jim knows, but it's strictly a municipal budget issue at this point. And so I'd be interested to hear what they have to say about regional approaches, because there is no regional funding. So that's what we know.
So then when I have my meeting on Wednesday, or I'll report back to her with tonight saying that you will put something together, Jim, for us. Do we want to do it at a meeting, or do we want to do it at a workshop?
I would say workshop, but as the chair, not in a meeting.
Okay. So Jim, you want me to bounce this back to you?
Jim Gailey?
Yes.
You talking
Jim,
to me? Okay.
Jim
I didn't
Daly,
know-
I'm sorry.
I didn't know what Jim you were talking to.
Jim G, we're gonna call you.
I think if you want to notify Christina,
Okay.
the commissioner's willingness to hear a presentation
Yep.
that they have.
Yep.
And we can't give them a date at this time, but we will work towards having a date for a workshop
Yep.
that's independent from the normal monthly commissioners meeting, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I would appreciate it, being the other Jim, if you could make specific mention about operational, financial support and resources, because that's always that's where the rubber hits the road.
A lot of people can talk for a lot of time and not get anything done. But if we focus on what can we do and how do we do it, then that might actually get something happening.
So maybe Jim could put something together for us, and then we look it over, and then we go from there, and then we'll critique it. Or
If I could suggest, I think the first step would be to hear out the presentation that they
Okay.
are going to present you with,
Yep.
and then
We go
use
from
that to kind of do some thinking about.
Okay.
And then we can, if you want staff to look at alternatives to report back, we can do that. But I think the first step is to definitely hear them out and to see what they're thinking.
Okay. Okay, I will get that out to her. Yep. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Sue.
Yep.
Tom Coward.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Steve. My comments are going to be brief. Vaccinations have started in Maine. My wife is of an age and of a medical condition that she is at the head of the list. She got her first vaccination. It was painless. It was actually run pretty well. Rigorous organization, and they are moving people through. I think Maine is, as we have been sort of all along through this pandemic, Maine, I think, is handling the rollout of the vaccine as better than most, and as well as could be expected under all the circumstances. So if you, for folks out there, especially those over 70, if you want to get a vaccine, check out Maine Health is coordinating in this area. I think there are other opportunities for that. You can get out and get vaccinated. That's the biggest step we can take at the moment, beyond what all the steps we're already taking, which is wearing masks, staying away from folks, and all the things that we are doing because it's for the good of the whole community, and it may be uncomfortable or inconvenient. But what we're being asked to do is basically doesn't get beyond uncomfortable and inconvenient. And I think we owe it to folks, especially folks that are particularly vulnerable to the illness going around, to take care of that. Other than that, it's starting to look like winter again, and we've got some snow. So be safe and have fun out in the snow. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Neil.
Thank you, Steve. I would just reiterate Tom's comments about our state of the health. We have always been one of the lead states, even since the fall and the winter, onset of the fall and the winter, in terms of controlling the number of cases that we have. Those numbers have increased, but with patience, wearing a mask, and social distancing will continue to drive those rates down. So I can't emphasize enough, in the next 2 to 3 months, let's all do that. Be patient in terms of not going to big social events. Those will occur, but we need to get ahead of this. And so for the health of your families, your neighbors, your colleagues, and everyone else in the state, please follow the guidelines of the Maine CDC. Also, I would like to say that normally we'd be looking towards high school basketball, hockey, and other types of winter sport tournaments. Good to see that some of those sports have opened up. They may not be in a tournament capacity this year, but during February vacation, let's all also use your best decision-making and instincts as parents for your children, even as much as they want to go out and do some fun things and be around people. Let's social distance, wear a mask, and follow the guidelines, and we will conquer this. I want to thank everyone for their patience, all the healthcare workers out there for their efforts, extraordinary efforts, and have a good February. There's a lot of fun things you can do in Maine in the winter with a little bit of snow out there. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cloutier.
I think Neil stole my thunder on COVID. We did have a pretty good sized spike over the holidays, and it does seem to be settling out, which is good news. The patience required, I know, is draining for many, but if we can go another number of weeks, more and more of us are going to be vaccinated, and we hope immune from all the various permutations of this virus. And by avoiding infection, we are actually reducing the possibility of some of these mutations, which is going to seem to be pretty important as we go forward. Other than that, spring is coming. My prediction is that Tampa Bay will win the Super Bowl, and that's all I have.
Week late, dollar short.
Yeah, but we're on replay, so that's the way it goes.
That's right. Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you, people. Much appreciated. As you said, everybody's talking about vaccination and the COVID-19 issue, and that's true. I can only reiterate it. Jim hit upon it, was the variants. If all the things that the other commissioners have said about masks and getting your shots and so forth doesn't hold true, or it doesn't drive you to do that, please consider it, because with the variants that are moving in and what's being talked about spreading across the United States and coming into this state, it will eventually, you're going to put our population, which is the oldest Maine has the older population in the country, at risk. The mask isn't just for you, it's for them. So please take care. With that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.